Chapter 411 Black Dragon Reverse Scale. You are. Who are you? Owl's consciousness was dragged back into his own spiritual world, as his name was called. Brother Skydream, Ice Empress. Who are you? Owl saw the Skydream Ice Worm and Ice Empress drifting above his spiritual sea in their human forms after he entered his spiritual sea. The Skydream Ice Worm snorted and asked, "Do you know what DTN gave you?" Who are you? Owl shook his head and said, "I'm not sure. However, I can imagine that it's for my own protection. After all, my safety concerns the entire destiny of the Great Stardow Forest." The Skydream Ice Worm sighed and said, "Foolish kid, that thing is both beneficial and harmful to you." Who are you? Owl was stunned. It's both beneficial and harmful? What do you mean? The Ice Empress said, DTN gave you his reverse scale. Reverse scale? Who are you? Owl appeared to be thinking of something. Dragons have a reverse scale, and they'll be enraged and even go berserk if their reverse scale is touched. That scale? The Ice Empress nodded and replied, "That's right. However, we discovered it too late. You've already worn it. Hey. Who are you? Owl asked, "What's the problem if I wear his reverse scale?" The Skydream Ice Worm sounded very furious. Of course there's a problem. It's a huge problem. 2. Dragons have a reverse scale. Whoever touches their reverse scale will incur their wrath. That is the truth. This piece of his reverse scale that he gave you can protect you. He forms a piece of reverse scale after a metamorphosis every 100,000 years when he experiences heaven's wrath. It contains his origin strength. As for what kind of protection it can offer you, I'm really uncertain about that. However, it won't be weak. But you need to recognize that his reverse scale contains a trace of heaven's wrath. With this trace of heaven's wrath, you won't be able to obtain a godly seat. Godly seat? What's a godly seat? Who are you? Owl asked in confusion. The Ice Empress replied, "We followed you in the hope that you'll reach that realm one day and become a true god. It is only then that we will be able to separate ourselves from your body. Furthermore, if we follow you into the godly realm, it'll be equivalent to us breaking the barriers of this world with your help. We will no longer be limited by our lifespans. Although the chance is very slim, we think that it is possible, given your current development and cultivation progress. Obtaining a godly seat is the most important stepping stone to your ascension to the godly realm. We don't know what the godly realm is like, but there have been legends about it. Among all of them, the legend about godly seats is the closest to the truth. In this world, humans are on the path towards the godly realm the moment they become a titled Dulo. Soul beasts are far less fortunate. Even if we reach a million-year cultivation, we'll still find it difficult to become a god. This is highly related to a godly seat. There are various explanations for what a godly seat is. The explanation that we agree on the most with is that the godly realm can only harbor a limited number of gods. Every god has a seat that belongs to him. One can only become a god after obtaining a godly seat. This is why all living creatures have to find a seat that belongs to them in the godly realm if they want to become a god. One can then overcome the restrictions of the Dulo continent through their connection with his seat and reach another level. Eventually, they can then ascend into the godly realm through their powers at that level. This thing that DTN gave you basically acts as a barrier that prevents you from connecting to a godly seat. Who are you? Owl was stunned and asked, "Can't I just take it off?" The Skydream Ice Worm laughed coldly. "You can try to do so when you return. Unless you die, you won't be able to take it off." Who are you? Owl quickly calmed down. "Is there any other way that I can obtain a godly seat?" The Ice Empress said, "Yes, by killing DTN. Can you do that? Another way is if your cultivation is beyond his. He is already at the limit of this world. You'll be a god if you can surpass him. How will you be able to do so? Also, the seal of DTN's reverse scale can be removed if a true god descends and does it for you. You can obtain a godly seat if any of these 3 possibilities occur. Which one do you think will happen? No matter how talented you are, you'll still need 100 years before you can reach DTN's level. However, you won't be able to defeat him, given that he possesses the Dragon King's claw. Although DTN isn't far from his 9th metamorphosis, this far away must be contextualized in the situation of a soul beast. DTN is currently suppressing his cultivation. Given his current aura, he'll be fine even if he suppresses it for another 10,000 years. Can you survive for another 10,000 years? Once you die of natural causes, your power of destiny will dissipate from your body, but it won't dissipate forever. As to what method he can use to accept this power of destiny, I am unsure. However, I believe there must be a way. This is why he wanted you to live near the Great Stardow Forest after completing everything that you have to complete. After hearing the Skydream Ice Worm and Ice Empress explanation, Who are you? Owl was completely shocked. Even though he knew that the conflict between soul beasts and humans was going to be very difficult to mediate, he didn't expect it to be so dangerous. He had been foregoing his sleep and diet over the past few months because he wanted to complete as many spirit transmissions as possible between humans and soul beasts. He had been completely selfless. However, he was gifted with such a reward. The Skydream Ice Worm said, "It has always been rumored that a godly seat exists somewhere on the Dulo continent. Did you forget how Shrek Academy's collection records this? Your ancestor, Tang San, eventually became a god after he was recognized by a godly seat and passed the test upon discovering the sea god's godly seat. However, you are currently in a situation where you can't advance any further even if you come across an opportunity. DTN used such a method to kill off any possibility of you becoming a god. While humans are sinister, soul beasts are. He. The Ice Empress sighed and said, "To a certain extent, DTN isn't wrong to do so. He is the king of soul beasts. He is only doing this for the Great Stardow Forest's legacy." The Skydream Ice Worm cursed. "What do you mean he isn't wrong? We are all soul beasts. Things are going well on his side, but he still chose to turn around and diminish our hopes. Idiot. Brother Skydream, Ice Empress, Who are you? Owl suddenly called. Hearing that his voice sounded a little weird, both of them couldn't help but turn their attention towards him. Who are you? Owl drifted calmly above his spiritual sea. However, both the Ice Empress and Skydream Ice Worm seemed to realize something different about him at this moment. He quietly remained where he was, but there was a towering feel about him. His eyes were shining brightly, and the look in his eyes was very determined and persistent. "Do the both of you believe me?" Who are you? Owl's voice sounded a little weird as it echoed in his spiritual sea. Instantly, his surging spiritual sea instantly became calm and peaceful. It was so calm that there weren't any ripples at all. It was like a steel and sturdy surface. Both soul beasts were stunned and subconsciously nodded. Who are you? Owl said, "Brother Skydream, if not for you, I wouldn't be here today. My martial soul would have remained disabled. Even if I followed Elder Senior and Teacher Xiaoyu to Shrek Academy, I wouldn't have been able to achieve anything. I wouldn't have been able to fuse with the Ice Empress. You gave me 4 strong soul rings and a second martial soul. All my achievements are a result of my fusion with you. Ice Empress, it's the same for you. Your recognition of me allowed me to possess ultimate ice, such that I was able to develop a goal and outline in the aspect of assault. The soul rings and soul bones that you gave me have saved me on many occasions. The 2 of you are my benefactors. Without you, Who are you? Owl wouldn't exist today. Since the 2 of you believe in me, let me make a promise to you right now. Today, give me 30 years. Within 30 years, I'll do my best in my cultivation and attain powers that can rival the beast god. I'll challenge him then. I'll use my own abilities to remove his black dragon reverse scale from my body. In the future, I might not be able to obtain a godly seat. However, I promise that I'll do my best to search for one. I won't give up even if there's only a glimmer of hope. I'll do my best to fulfill your wishes. All right." Who are you? Owl wasn't very loud, but he spoke with vigor and determination. After hearing his words, the Ice Empress and Skydream Ice Worm appeared much more at ease. They looked at each other, and the Skydream Ice Worm took a deep breath before saying, "You Owl, time isn't a problem. Given your current condition, as well as the auspicious Emperor Beast's sacrifice, you'll at least be able to live for more than 300 years. It's too difficult for you to defeat the beast god within 30 years. We won't restrict your goal. It's great as long as you have the determination to defeat him." Who are you? Owl deeply said, "A man stays true to his word. Whatever I promise to do, I'll do my best to carry it out." The Skydream Ice Worm and Ice Empress nodded. "We'll do our best to help you, too." Who are you? Owl calmed down as he regained awareness of his actual body. After that, he surveyed the black dragon reverse scale around his neck through his spiritual power. However, the reverse scale was like a deep valley as it absorbed his spiritual power. Even though there was only minimum contact between his spiritual power and the the reverse scale. There wasn't even any feedback. In addition, Huo clearly discovered that this piece of reverse scale had completely stuck to the skin on his chest. It was as if it had become a part of his body. Fortunately, Brother Skydream and the Ice Empress warned me. Otherwise, I would have thought that DTN was being nice to me. Huo didn't blame DTN. DTN was only doing this for the future of the Great Stardow Forest destiny. From the perspective of his interests, DTN's actions were justified. However, he had a different opinion of DTN right now. Originally, he had developed respect for DTN after a hearty talk with him. However, he now had only the intention of maintaining a professional partnership with the Beast God. Huo silently left the slaughtering grounds after cultivating until the morning of the second day. The three-headed Scarlet Devil Mastiff was already waiting for him. The Scarlet King escorted him as he left the Great Stardow Forest and rushed towards Shrek Academy. As his cultivation increased, he was now able to fly using his soul power. However, using soul tools helped him to better conserve his soul power. After 15 minutes, he reached Shrek City. From the sky, it was clear that the city was under busy reconstruction. The original Shrek City had become a fortification, and the new city now expanded out from it. Far from the city, the Spirit Pagoda was already nearly complete. It was a huge tower. As the headquarters of the Spirit Pagoda, Shrek Academy had spent a lot of effort to construct the tower. The tower was in a hexagonal shape and covered more than 1,000 square meters. According to the plan, the tower would be 13 stories and 200 meters high. It would be big enough to hold more than 10,000 people. This was all for the future development of the Spirit Pagoda. Currently, there weren't even 100 staff members at the Spirit Pagoda, and this number was unlikely to change in the short term. Not far from the Spirit Pagoda was the new designated region of Shrek City. Right now, the outlines of the new city walls were already being constructed along the perimeter. As the scale was too large, the construction of the city walls wouldn't be complete anytime soon. Only an area was being sketched out right now. However, even so, it was possible to tell how grand the city would be. Hopefully Shrek City will become stronger and stronger in the future. Huo revealed a smile on his face. At least my efforts have not been wasted over the past 3 months. If not for the fact that he had come to an agreement with the Great Stardow Forest, how would Shrek City dare to carry out such a large expansion? During the last Beast Tide, the Tanksect soul tools drew the most attention, especially those 2,000 stationary soul cannon shells. Their value couldn't be measured with money. After the Beast Tide ended, the Tanksect was immediately promoted to a strategic partner of Shrek Academy after a decision was made during a conference of the Sea Gods Pavilion. In addition, both the sect and the Academy worked closely with each other. It was no longer like it was in the past, where the sect was sort of a subsidiary of the Academy. The Tanksect's position was recognized by the entire Academy for the first time. To thank the Tanksect for their contribution during the Beast Tide, the Sea Gods Pavilion made an unprecedented decision. They offered the sect the position in the Sea Gods Pavilion. This position naturally wasn't offered to Huo since he was already a member of the Sea Gods Pavilion. Rather, it was given to the leader of the sect, Bei Bei. As of now, the Tanksect had 2 members in the Sea Gods Pavilion. This wasn't just beneficial in terms of reputation. Shrek Academy had already informed the Tanksect that the sect could pick a base of their own after Shrek City was rebuilt. This would allow the Tanksect to expand their influence in Shrek City. By the time the Spirit Pagoda was fully constructed, the scale of Shrek City and the effect of the pagoda on its prosperity was going to be very great. In such a prosperous city, Shrek Academy was very generous in allowing the Tanksect to choose a base of their own in the city. Furthermore, the Academy had already fully paid off the debt that they owed the Tanksect. While they hadn't paid for the 2,000 stationary soul cannon shells, they gave the Tanksect the form. After Sun Swen received this form, he smiled very widely. There was an inventory list on this form, which included all sorts of rare metals. It comprised roughly 50% of all the rare metals that the 3 empires were willing to supply to the Academy. The benefits of spirits for soul masters had been fully revealed after many experiments. Although Shrek Academy was very generous, they weren't overly generous. Shrek City's development required a large amount of money and resources. As a result, the Sea Gods Pavilion had already raised a few terms and conditions when they negotiated with the envoys of the 3 empires. Huo had yet to impart the contract of equals. These terms and conditions were naturally regarded as stepping stones for spiritual type soul masters from the various empires to join the Spirit Pagoda. Shrek Academy had indeed incurred huge losses resisting the Beast Tide. Furthermore, the 3 empires were also not affected at all, because Shrek Academy had resisted the Beast Tide for them. From the tragic state of the battlefield, it was obvious that Shrek Academy had utilized a lot of resources to fight. It was only right for the 3 empires to offer them some aid. In this way, both parties were happy. As the Tanksect had made very special contributions, they were offered half of the rare metals. Teacher Sun was finally pleased, given that he was extremely heartbroken after losing more than 2,000 stationary cannon shells. Of course, the Academy did make a new request of the sect, which was that they had to prioritize the supply of soul tools to equip Shrek City and the Shrek City Defense Army. Tapping into this opportunity, the Shrek City Defense Army started to expand for the first time in its history. It originally consisted of 10,000 people, but it was about to be expanded to 50,000. Among these 50,000 people, 35,000 ordinary soldiers would be recruited, and the remaining slots were to be filled up by recruiting soul masters and soul engineers. The City Defense Army had suffered huge losses during this battle and many were wounded. More than 2,500 people lost their lives. Fortunately, the ratio of soul masters and soul engineers who had lost their lives was relatively low. This time, the City Defense Army recruited people from all over the continent. The news was being disseminated, and interested applicants would be screened in batches and recruited within the next 6 months. After the Shrek City Defense Army managed to fight off the Beast Tide, its reputation was greatly boosted. The minimum requirements needed to join the army were naturally raised. In addition, Shrek City treated its army very well. Many people started to arrive from different places to apply for a position in the City Defense Army. Spirits had also become very popular among the 3 empires in the Duluo continent. Shrek City and Shrek Academy's reputation improved greatly from all this talk about spirits. The greatest pull factor for people wanting to join the City Defense Army was that they would be given priority to use the Spirit Pagoda. Just this benefit alone was able to draw many soul masters to apply to join the City Defense Army. Shrek Academy managed to greatly maximize their benefits because of this spirits issue. The 3 empires didn't know what to say about this. Not long ago, the Spirit Pagoda had announced that it could only cater to 200 soul masters every month, as it had just been established. This number would increase in the future, but this was the best they could do now. On the one hand, it was because of the lack of soul beasts being supplied by the Great Stardow Forest. On the other, the Spirit Transmission Masters had only just learned about contracts, and they weren't very fluid with the process yet. They needed time to accumulate experience. Furthermore, the pagoda was still under construction. As a result, the Spirit Pagoda decided that there could only be this number of spirit transmissions every month at Huo's request. At the very least, this number wouldn't increase until after the pagoda was fully constructed. At the same time, the Spirit Pagoda also disseminated another piece of information to reassure the Great Stardow Forest. Huo was the one who directly disseminated this information. It was very simple. It publicly announced Huo's earlier guess, and informed all soul masters that spirits could give them more than one soul ring. As a result, one could obtain more soul rings if they suppress their soul power. The point of this information was to make soul masters less anxious about obtaining soul rings, and to accumulate their abilities instead. In this way, they would be less inclined to hurt soul beasts. After these 2 pieces of information were disseminated, the existence of the Spirit Pagoda was quickly made known to the 3 empires of the Duluo continent. There was a sudden rush of soul masters into Shrek City as a result of this news. Shrek Academy had yet to begin its recruitment of new students, but many sects had already sent their disciples over to participate in Shrek Academy's tests. Those who were over the age limit applied to the Shrek City Defense Army. Their arrival caused Shrek City to become even more prosperous. Although it would take a long time to rebuild and develop the city, its bright future was evident from the people who had rushed over. Huo made some calculations and came to a conclusion. It would take at most 3 years for Shrek City to rebuild. Even though only a portion of the soul masters that applied to join the City Defense Army would be retained, the entire city was bound to experience great changes if the Tanksect and Shrek Academy's soul engineering department were given 3 years. When the time came, DTN wouldn't be able to threaten Shrek Academy anymore, even if he unleashed another Beast Tide. As he was about to enter Shrek City's airspace, Huo descended from the sky. Although Shrek City didn't have clear aerial restrictions like the 3 empires, no soul master or soul engineer would fly above Shrek City unless there was some kind of special situation. Out of respect for Shrek, Huo entered Shrek Academy from the East Gate. Recently, he had become very reputable. When he entered the academy, he was already recognized by the students. Before his juniors could come up to him, Huo quickened his footsteps and hurried off. As he waved his hands to acknowledge them, he quickly rushed towards Sea God's Lake. He moved forward above the water's surface and reached the inner courtyard. As a member of the Sea God's Pavilion, he could enter the pavilion freely, and this was what he did. He stopped in his tracks when he arrived in front of the Sea God's Pavilion. When he saw the golden tree, which was glowing dimly, he knew kneeled down once again and kowtowed 3 times before walking into the Sea God's pavilion. Yuao? Tian was willing to let you out. Elder Sun was surprised. Very soon, a few elders in the Sea God's pavilion rushed down to the main hall. Greetings, elders. Huro Yuao hailed them respectfully. Elder Sun chortled and said, you don't have to stand on ceremony with us. Moreover, you are also a member of the Sea God's pavilion. How's it going on Tian's side? Why was he willing to let you out? Didn't you say that you controlled the destiny of the entire Great Stardow Forest? We were still discussing how we should go about saving you. Huro Yuao smiled and said, the beast god can imprison me, but he cannot stop me from taking my own life. He can't let me die, so naturally, he has no choice but to let me leave. He didn't talk about how Tian gave him the Black Dragon's reverse scale. The conflict between Shrek and the Great Stardow Forest was just starting to soften and settle down, and he didn't want any new problems that could complicate things after he departed. I knew you always had an idea. Everything's fine, as long as you're back. You're already a soul sage. You should remain at the Sea God's pavilion and rest up. You've almost finished handling matters with the Spirit Pagoda, and I won't let them disturb you if there are no special circumstances. Elder Sun, can I speak to you in private? Sorry, elders. Huro Yuao bowed respectfully at the other elders once more. The elders smiled amicably before they nodded at him and left the two of them alone. Elder Sun's expression changed slightly as he sat down at the long table that the Sea God's pavilion used for meetings and conferences. He pointed at a chair nearby and gestured for Huro Yuao to sit down as well. Elder Sun, Huro Yuao called out softly after he sat down. Elder Sun smiled faintly and said, if you intend to apologize to me, there's no need for that. The beast wave can't be entirely blamed on you. You're a smart kid, so stop wasting time on an insignificant issue. The auspicious beast's death was just a fuse, and even if this fuse wasn't there, the Great Stardow Forest would probably have made a move within a few years anyway. Therefore, you don't have to blame yourself. Furthermore, your experiments with spirits have given the Academy and Shrek City unprecedented opportunities for development. I trust that it won't take long for Shrek City to become one of the most famous cities on the continent. Your contributions have been substantial. When that happens, we will be much more influential in the continent, and we will be able to do so much more. This time, our main priority will be to expand the Academy and the Tang Sect. Besides adding numbers to the City Defense Army, we will inject large amounts of manpower, resources, and money into the development of these projects. This will be a great positive force for the Tang Sect's future development. Thank you. Huro Yuao lowered his head and continued, but no matter what, if not for what happened between Kira and me, the beast wave wouldn't have come so early. If it had come after a few more years, and after our soul tools developed further, we wouldn't have suffered such heavy losses. I am responsible for this. Furthermore, you should know that I summoned an undead army to attack the beast wave in order to save and reinforce Shrek City. When he said these words, a layer of gentle spiritual undulations emanated from Huro Yuao's body and enveloped them both, blocking any sound from traveling out of it. Elder Sun's expression changed slightly. He hadn't expected Huro Yuao to take the initiative in discussing this issue. Yuao, I only hope that you understand one thing. No matter what, the Academy has unconditional trust in you. Don't hold any burdens in your heart. Those circumstances were special, and you only did that in order to rescue the Academy, and you did that to target soul beasts. Huro Yuao forced a laugh and said, but that cannot change the fact that I possess an evil soul master's abilities. However, Elder Sun, I can promise you that these abilities that I possess are different from those of an evil soul master. I will never be affected by these abilities. Elder Sun stared deeply at Huro Yuao. He was full of admiration inside. This child is just different. Huro Yuao continued, these abilities of mine don't belong in the boundaries of our world. Therefore, they are not considered abilities of an evil soul master. Instead, these abilities come from another plane. These abilities, along with the contract of equals, were passed down to me by that teacher of mine whose divine sense remnants I unintentionally fused with. Huro Yuao no longer hid anything as he detailed everything that had to do with the Calamity Necromancer, Electrolux. His explanation was much different from what he told the soul beasts. He detailed everything from when he first fused with Electrolux to the end after Electrolux had given him multiple things. Huro Yuao's explanation was very thorough. Elder Sun listened to his narration very intently, and surprised looks flashed across his face from time to time. Because of my fusion with the Snow Emperor spirit, my teacher used the last of his power and left this world forever. He left behind that spectral demiplane and his necromancy, but I will never use these powers unless I have no other choice. Furthermore, my teacher's necromancy utilizes the element of light. Therefore, it doesn't contain any other evil powers in itself. Elder Sun said, since that's the case, then you don't have to think about this anymore. I will keep your secret, and I will not leave any record about this in the Sea God's pavilion. Just as you've said, all you have to do is avoid using these powers in the future as much as possible. Huro Yuao exhaled deeply and smiled as he said, I feel so much better after telling all the secrets hidden in my heart. Elder Sun patted him on the shoulder and said, I know what you're worried about, my child. The truth is, doubt has surfaced in my heart before, but my doubts disappeared since I returned to the Sea God's pavilion. Do you know why? Why? Huro Yuao asked curiously. Elder Sun answered, because you have been chosen by Elder Mu. Huro Yuao's eyes turned red when Elder Sun mentioned Elder Mu. He pursed his lips, and he tried his best not to let any tears fall from his eyes. Elder Sun smiled and said, you're a good child, and you've done enough for Shrek already. Do you know that Chaosh came to me half a month ago and told me that he wanted to give up his opportunity to take over as the master of the Sea God's pavilion, and he wanted to let you take over directly instead of letting you take over in the subsequent generation? What? Huro Yuao was astonished, and he hurriedly waved his hands in the air and said, that's not going to work. I'm still so young. How can I become master of the Sea God's pavilion? Elder Sun smiled and said, don't be hasty. Chaosh's suggestion is very reasonable. I worked together with Elder Mu and sealed Tian away, and even though he managed to break out in the end, I've gained a deeper understanding of a titled Dulo's strength after the experience. I will enter closed-door cultivation once these worldly and mundane affairs have been settled. Huro Yuao's eyes lit up. Elder Sun, you had a chance to try and break through into that level. Elder Sun chuckled and said, yes, I can't let Elder Mu's painstaking efforts go to waste. That's fantastic. Huro Yuao exclaimed excitedly. Huro Yuao was naturally referring to the level of an ultimate Dulo. Elder Sun was a rank 98 transcendent Dulo, one step away from reaching humanity's limit. Even though ultimate Dulo had differences in strength, Shrek Academy would once again possess a powerful individual who was at the pinnacle of the continent. This was great news for the Academy and for Shrek City. Elder Sun smiled and said, if I'm successful, and according to an ultimate Dulo's circumstances, I predict that I can live for another 100 years or more. I will not remain as the master of the Sea God's pavilion for the rest of my life, but I should have no problem staying in this position for another several decades. When that happens, you'll be all grown up. With your current prospects, you can definitely become a titled Dulo within 10 years, and you should have no problem becoming a transcendent Dulo within 20 years. I will help you hold on for a little while more. As for Chaosh, he's had some revelations and understandings because of the development of spirits. He's passed the Martial Soul Department's reins over to Maya, and entered closed-door cultivation. He's given up his position as successor to the master of the Sea God's pavilion, and that's equivalent to him letting go of the greatest burden in his heart. This is great news for him. Chaosh is extremely talented, and I hope that he can achieve something after his closed-door cultivation. But, Elder Sun, how can I become master of the Sea God's pavilion? Huro Yuao said with some concern. Elder Sun waved him away and said, why are you worrying about this now? I'm not asking you to take up this responsibility right away. You should work hard at improving yourself, and we can talk about who gets to succeed me as master of the Sea God's pavilion in the future. Did you look for me to open your heart to me? Huro Yuao said, I'm here to say goodbye. A thread of grief flickered in his eyes when he said the last word of his sentence. Goodbye. You're leaving. Elder Sun was taken aback. Huro Yuao had become a soul sage, and his spiritual power had improved exponentially, so he did have the ability to protect himself. However, he was far too important to Shrek Academy's future. Elder Sun didn't want to let Huro Yuao out of his sight if he could help it. Huro Yuao nodded and continued, there are some things I need to do. I might leave for a relatively long time this time around, so I'm coming here especially to bid farewell to you. Elder Sun lowered his voice and said, if this is because you summoned the undead army, then that is very unnecessary. I've said before that this matter ends here, and nobody will talk about this publicly. We will all keep your secret. Huro Yuao shook his head and said, no, I'm not doing this because of that. There are some things that I must do. Furthermore, I want to visit Donga and see if she's awake. Huro Yuao's emotions changed a little when he mentioned Donga. After Wang Qiwa sacrificed herself for him back then, the first thing he wanted to do as quickly as possible was visit Donga. Donga had been in a coma for so long, and he didn't know what circumstances she was in. One could say that the fact that Wang Donga was still alive, even though she was in deep slumber, was Huro Yuao's emotional support. There was nothing more important than Donga to him. Elder Sun couldn't help but nod when Huro Yuao talked about Donga. Yes. I can't just forbid him from visiting Donga. A smile appeared on his face. I'm really getting old, and I can't bear for you to leave. Furthermore, some things are bound to happen every time you leave, and I'm really afraid of hearing any more bad news that concern you. Who are you? Al scratched his head sheepishly and said, don't worry, that won't happen this time. I will be very careful about everything. After I visit Donga, I will bring her back if she's awake, but if she's still sleeping, I want to. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.